Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84. So we're at the beginning of April now. It's quite a nice day, it's a Sunday. I'll be putting these videos out probably in the next week or so. And I've decided today that it's time to repot two of my pineapple guavas. Are pretty pot bound now, and I'm not planning, I've got nowhere to plant them in ground, so I'm going to carry on growing them in containers for the foreseeable future. So I've decided they need to go up in pot size from what they're in at the moment to the next size pot up. Now these two here, this one is an Apollo and this variety here is a Coolidge. You can see they're also a little bit lanky. I did get some dieback on them last year because in that incredibly hot weather they dried out without me realising, and it caused tip dieback, and I've now had further tip dieback caused by the extreme cold, but it's only minor. These are proving to be reliably hardy to about -10 degrees centigrade, whatever that may be in Fahrenheit. That's probably, I'd hazard a guess at something, -10 is probably about 18 Fahrenheit, is it? I'll look and put it on the video anyway. So they've and we've had probably -7 or -8 this winter, and apart from this little bit of tip burn, it hasn't really caught, to the very young leaves, it hasn't caused any problem. But I'm going to tip all these anyway. Once I've potted them up, I'll just take the top sort of 6 inches off the plants to try and encourage them to stay bushy. And I'm hopeful that these two might, they had the odd flowers on them last year, so I'm hopeful these two might produce a handful of fruits this year, especially if I put them into a nice big rich compost. So I'm not going to show the repotting process, as I've done that plenty of times on videos, and it's not a complex one because it's literally just a case of taking them out the pot and putting some compost in and upsizing them. But I'll give them a light trim as well, and after I've repotted them I'll come back and show the end result, and then the pots they're in can be used for uppotting something like that Chilean guava, which has avoided most of the cold this year as it was hidden underneath my loquats, and they've provided it with frost damage, as opposed to the one that's completely died back in my border that I featured in another video this week. So as I said, that's Apollo and that one's Coolidge. So I'm going to give them a trim back, get them potted up, and then finish off the video. Okay, so I've just come back quickly in the middle of the video for a few seconds. Just wanted to show you how root bound this plant is. This is the Apollo, so it definitely needed repotting, and what I'll try and do is just slightly loosen up the roots a tiny bit on the side of the pot, but not, I don't really want to damage the roots, but I need them to obviously break out of this root ball and go straight into the fresh compost in the new pot I'm using. I'm using a nice open free draining compost, so the roots should break into it quite easily, but I thought you'd like to just see how pot bound these are, that they are due for a repot now. Back in the next part of the video. So there we go, that's job done. That's the Apollo and the Coolidge now. Apollo on the left, Coolidge on the right, repotted in their semi-permanent homes. They should be alright, I hope, in these containers for a couple more years, and I'll have to consider what to do at that stage. Excuse me. Now I've taken a good 6 to 8 inches off the top. I've left a few of the side shoots intact. Now they do tend to flower on new growth. The flower buds form on new growth, so there's every reason to think these will flower this year, but what will probably happen is they'll be later than they would have been. So instead of flowering normally, unfortunately the pineapple guavas here don't sort of start to break into flower if they're outdoors until in July, and really you'd want them flowering in sort of May or June, so you'd have more chance of getting earlier and larger fruit, but they just don't do that here. It takes some time to get going, so it's quite likely that these ones won't flower until probably late July or August, but there is a chance that they could still form edible fruits by the end of October. They just won't be they won't reach their full potential size wise, but they should be edible. But we'll see what happens anyway, and obviously I'll if I get flowers I'll make sure to try and cross pollinate them, but they'll certainly be flowering behind my mammoth, or I've given that a very light tune, but of course I've pruned the Triumph back very hard, so that possibly won't flower this year, or may just get a few late flowers. So I'll put them into larger pots and I'll put them back in place, and then I'll repot the Chilean guava into one of the pots that these came out of, and that should keep that going for another year or two. So thanks for watching the video. That's 2 of my pineapple guavas that were in smallish pots repotted. Please give me a thumbs up. You're welcome to share the video if you think anybody will be interested, of course. Please subscribe to my channel if anything I'm growing interests you. And remember to click on the bell if you'd like to know when new videos come out. I'll catch up with you all in the next video. Brett out for now.